Hi, I'm Lauren. Lovely to, want to see me connect with you. I don't even know. But yeah, I'm Lauren and welcome to my channel. This is my first video for this channel and I'll go into a little bit in a moment of why I've called myself Rainbow Dust. Rainbow Dust is the new channel name. This is Lindy. This is one of my dogs. I'm newly married. I'm 29. I live in Scotland, and yeah, probably like many of you watching this, I am on my TTC journey, trying to conceive, trying to expand the family and bring in a little human baby. I consider myself a mum to my little dogs. Yeah, especially when they get me up really early in the morning and in the middle of the night at times as well. But yeah, so I thought I would start a channel to document it because it hasn't been an easy journey so far and I'm only at the very beginning and it's not been easy. Just getting it out there, I am currently going through my third chemical pregnancy in a row, which is not a position I think I ever expected myself to be in. I feel like you hear other people, like, before you start trying, you hear that other people have had miscarriages or you hear of it, but nobody really talks about it. You might hear it from like your favorite influencer or celebrity, but nobody, or somebody you knew, but nobody really talks about it. And it just suddenly seems everybody gets pregnant really easily. There might be people that you follow on social media from like your school days or like work colleagues and things, and all of a sudden there's pregnancy announcements and we just assume, oh, they got pregnant really easily, when actually we don't know. They could have had multiple miscarriages, it could have taken them a few years. So I feel like it's something that's not talked about. And I felt very lost actually when I went through my first chemical pregnancy. I was planning to get pregnant after I got married, and I came off my birth control. So I was on Nexaplon implant for 11 years, and I came off that in February to try and get my cycles, getting back to normal. I was using the Natural Cycles app to kind of regulate along with LH test strips to try and prevent initially, just while we were kind of getting close to the wedding and things like that. But we kind of stopped really tracking and we ended up getting pregnant on the first go, really unexpectedly, and that was back in May, early June. And I was like, oh my goodness, it's a positive test. But then I started bleeding and I couldn't really understand. I was like, what is this? It turns out it was a heavy implantation bleeding, which I didn't even know existed. So that was an initial fright, but then I was like, oh, okay, that happens to some people. I might just be one of those people that bleeds. And I followed the line progression. It got really, really positive. It was looking really good. And then all of a sudden, like, the bleeding had all stopped, everything. And then I started bleeding again. And this was at 5 weeks. And I checked and my tests were almost negative. And I was like, oh, like, I don't really understand. Like, I think I've lost it. So yeah, so that was my first chemical pregnancy. Then that was a few weeks before my wedding, which wasn't ideal. I really, really struggled with that one because when I saw the positive test, I immediately connected with it. And I was like, okay, I'm pregnant. Like, I'm definitely pregnant. I'm going to have a baby. Like, this is my due date, 17th of February. And I found that really, really hard. And I had to just go, do you know what? I'm getting married in a few weeks' time. Like, I can't do this. It's fine. Let's move on. Do you know what? What's really exciting is that actually, because of this, I'm actually going to ovulate on my wedding night. Like, how cool would that be? It'd be really, if it worked out then, maybe that's why, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to the wedding, had an amazing day, and I went away straight away on my honeymoon. We kind of went around the world. We went to San Francisco, then French Polynesia, then to Brisbane in Australia, and then Tokyo in Japan. We're pretty much away for a month, and it was amazing, and I'm so glad we had that time. But within that time, I had like a little kind of bleed it was like lasted like 10 days, so I wasn't really sure what was going on. And then so I don't really know if it was a proper period. I don't think it was. I think it was the effect from that chemical. And then I seemed to have ovulated again and I got pregnant again. And I was like, it's amazing. Although this time the tests were always like more faint. They never really like developed. They never really kind of grew in colour. And again, I had this implantation bleeding. It just never got as positive as the first time, and then eventually went negative, and then I bled again. So this one was probably closer to the 4-week mark. Definitely positive, but just not as strong as the last one. So I was kind of like, oh right, okay, maybe it was just like something tried to implant and it didn't. So fine. Then this month, I, was trying to be really chill about it, trying to be really calm and collected, ovulated, checked my ovulation, and I actually had progesterone prescribed to me. After the second miscarriage, I saw like a little remote Zoom call with a specialist in miscarriages. She actually floated to me the idea that maybe of kind of super fertility. Some women, basically the embryo comes along and most people will form an embryo, but a lot of them are unviable. So if you're normal, healthy, young, maybe 1 in 3 of your embryos will be good quality. And your lining's really clever because it can tell if it's a good or a bad embryo, and it should only implant the good ones. Well, some people with super fertility, the lining doesn't know the difference, so it literally implants all your embryos. And so those embryos that are not viable get implanted, they try to develop, and immediately within that kind of 4 to 5 week mark, it can't grow anymore because it's it's not normal, it's not chromosomally normal. So then you miscarry, you have a chemical pregnancy. And she kind of thought that was maybe my issue. But I also knew I had a short luteal phase of 8 days, so I thought progesterone might help me because I think I have low progesterone. So this time we tried progesterone from 3 days post-ovulation. I got a positive pregnancy test from 8 days post-ovulation, and it was amazing this time. It was like really strong, and the line progression, it was getting double the darkness in 24 hours. Everything was looking amazing. And then I was like, right, I'm gonna leave it a few days before I test again because I didn't want to get too bogged down for these tests. And I'm not kidding, a few days later it was blank. Like, this test had been so positive, almost a dye stealer. My clear blue was looking really good, like the digital, everything was looking really good. And within the space of a few days, completely blank, negative. So I immediately stopped taking the progesterone. I contacted my doctor. He sent me in for bloods and referred me to the Recurrent Miscarriage clinic. So that's where I'm currently at. I haven't bled yet, and it has been 5 days since I stopped the progesterone. So I should by now. Sometimes people don't. I'm hoping that's not me. I feel like I really need to have that experience to bleed, to kind of get over it and move on. But at the minute, that's not happening, which obviously leaves me with stress. So where does that leave me now? So I have been doing a lot of research into this. Now, just to give you a bit of background, I have a degree in anatomy and I specialised in embryology, and I worked in clinical research for years. So I do have a scientific sort of medical background. So I've dug into a lot of research. I've obviously read It Starts With the Egg as well. It's a really good book for those of you who are struggling with fertility and made those changes. I've been taking all these supplements, and I'll do another video on all of that, and I'm changing my protocol with that. But what I do know is that when I was on the contraceptive implant, I did do a fertility test, and it told me that I had low AMH, which stands for anti-Müllerian hormone. And women with low AMH indicates that they may have a low egg reserve count. And if that is the case, you tend to have lower quality eggs, tend to be the ones that are left. So it means that I might have a higher chance of making an embryo that isn't as good quality. But if you're on the implant, or other birth control and you test your AMH, that can make the levels a little bit lower than what they actually are. So it could be that I'm actually maybe borderline in the normal range. I haven't tested it since, but I'm kind of going by that theory that maybe my eggs are not amazing quality. So I'm trying to come up with a new protocol to try next month while I wait for this referral to the Recurrent Miscarriage clinic. My doctor will phone me if there's any development within the bloods. They took 6 vials. I think I still have the mark. Yeah, it's like a little tiny mark there, a little tiny bruise. I had to lie down to get it done because it was a lot of blood, guys. A lot of blood. So yeah, so that's kind of what's next. And obviously with this channel, I would love to document this journey. I want to go through, you know, from my experience to actually my medical background and knowledge to help you guys understand what's going on with recurrent miscarriage, with low AMH, with short luteal phases, with supplementation, what the research says, and hopefully at some point I'm going to get a positive pregnancy test that actually sticks, which would be amazing. But yeah, I would love if you guys are open to joining me on this journey of life in TTC. I really want to hear your stories as well. Like, I want to know, you know, has anybody else been through this? Has anybody else had recurrent miscarriages? What have you been told? What is the issue? I'm maybe going to try aspirin, baby aspirin as well, from a positive pregnancy test when I next get one, to see if it's maybe like the clotting that's the issue. But yeah, so anyway, do let me know what you guys are experiencing. Please like and subscribe to join. And yeah, thank you so much for watching my first video. I always find it super awkward at first to just kind of be like, okay, here's the camera, let's just chat. And also it's kind of scary putting your personal life, because this is obviously quite personal, isn't it, when you talk about fertility. But we're going to change that. We want to talk about fertility more. We want to talk about miscarriages more, because they're normal and everybody experiences them, and it's not just us. And it makes you feel so much better when you can find a community that is going through the exact same thing that you are. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. See you soon.